Welcome to episode 13 of The Masters of the Forge. I'm Camille, and with me tonight are Adam.
Hola.
And Snorre.
Hola.
Hi, Camille. Welcome back.
Hi. Yeah, just pretend that I've been dead and gone for months or something like that, just because I blew out of one recording and then I was pissed for a week about it.
Camille, I guess the German efficiency finally fixed your internet?
Yeah, that pretty much did, at midnight, but that was too late. It literally came back at, 0001. I don't know, something about our local station having access problems and just shutting down for the remainder of the day or something like that. I didn't research it further, to be honest. I just lazily Googled it, like you do nowadays whenever there's a problem. But several people in the area had problems around that time.
Well, I'm glad to have you back, Camille. I mean, the show just is anemic without you.
I'm glad you think so. Although we both know it's not true. I mean, in the end, it's all Snorri's magic that keeps the show together. We all know that. Yeah. Without that, it would be just a cluster F of, weird stuff.
Yeah, we won't tell the Ordo Hereticus.
Thank you very much. So, yeah.
So, 40K, dude, freaking, how about those codices that aren't Blood Angels coming out?
It's amazing, isn't it? The world seems to be full of releases that aren't Blood Angels.
Even though the Blood Angels apparently made a sneak appearance in the iPad version for at least a little bit, until Games Workshop probably fixed it. Because I'm pretty sure I saw a picture from the iPad version that said, for any Blood Angels or something in the Codex.
Amazing.
So either Games Workshop is doing a really lousy job of trying to tease this, or they're just doing a really lousy job with their editing. Sorry, guys.
They might have a grimdark buzzword generator that misfires from time to time between words like, dark and terrible and horrific and blood and so on.
Maybe.
Yeah.
And I mean, we had Space Hawk. That's some Blood Angel love too, I guess.
Yeah, you're right. Those are some models. Blood Angels actually leads into some of my hobby progress, if you don't mind.
Yeah, no, go ahead. Take it away.
My little brother Brandon, he's my wife's brother. I think I mentioned before that he's getting into the hobby.
Yeah, you did.
And he chose Blood Angels as his army. And so he's been like, oh, they're going to be the next, right? They're going to be the next, right? I'm like, I almost have to be. No, wrong answer, Charlie. So I've been helping him with lists and hobby and stuff. He put paint to model for the first time last week when we had a hobby night. Yeah, he's been playing in the Escalation League. So that was perfect for him. Starting up that Escalation League is great.
So is that starting at 500 points or something like that?
750, 1250, and 1750. It's kind of a quick one, though. It's only like a 6-week league. So he's just furiously building. His list is a las cannon predator, a chaplain, 5 terminators, 5 tactical marines, 5 scouts, 10 Death Company, because Kid loves Death Company.
Of course he does.
Yeah, right?
By the way, how old is Brandon actually?
Brandon is 18.
Alright, yeah, he's still got the time to furiously work away at models for an Escalation League. I see.
Oh, absolutely. He's got plenty of time in his life, and not enough time left in his life for me to be jealous, that's for sure. So he's doing pretty well, and I'm really glad that he's taken it up, because he's a cool kid and he deserves to have a cool hobby that isn't smoking cigarettes with other older children behind railway yards or whatever.
Like I do, night by night.
At the railway yard? What the hell are you doing out there as a grown man?
Well, prostitutes for one, and
Well,
also
I was alluding to it. I wasn't expecting you to say it right out.
All right.
You know what, Camille? Just for that, what's your hobby progress this week?
Oh, you. Actually, I think you can consider me, just to return to the serious side of things for a moment here, because I think this is a phenomenon that hits like most 40k players and most tabletop wargamers at some point. Some of them even like, in regular intervals, would be the fact that I'm sort of faced with a little hobby burnout at the moment. It's not bad. I've lived through that before. It normally lasts like 2 or 3 months, and then I'm back in action because I just can't keep my fingers away from those shiny models again. But right at the moment, I've sort of got so much stuff at my hands that I would technically definitely have the time to do something hobby-related once in a while, be it a game, be it painting a model or whatever. But it just all feels like an effort at the moment.
And from what I understand, it's kind of related to losing your gaming buddy Ollie to, well, he had to move.
Yeah, and that is definitely a factor too, because he was pretty much someone that kept me in the game by means of the fact that we had like our regular, like every 2 weeks, Sunday, like before noon meetings, even like to some crazy time, and he had the table in his man cave, and we could just play away at crazy times during the weekend there. But now that's not an option anymore. I'm sort of dependent on game stores again, which means that on most days except for Saturday, which I normally spend like in a half recovering from the coma of the week, or even keeping working, I don't even get a chance to somehow find the 3 or 4 hours to have a game that brings me like back into the rule set, which always takes a good bit longer than just a pickup game of it, like the one you did last week.
Right. Well, I mean, that just gives you more time for the fluff, right? Which is,
Yeah, definitely. I mean, my interest in that definitely has not waned, because that doesn't happen anymore. Like, the lore of 40k is like it has just become such a strong part in my life, and there's never a time I'm not reading like anything 40k. That just doesn't happen anymore.
There's always room for books.
Yeah, exactly. Or even just browsing random pages around 40k wiki or something like that. Even that. I mean, it's just more of a hobby and gaming fatigue right now, and a bit of frustration because, yeah, it's a bit like a divorce from my favorite mate in terms of playing games with him. So I guess I'm depressed about that a good bit too, and it just came together with some other circumstances, and yeah, here I am.
We'll have a nice, like talking session soon. Maybe we can get us some Skype hobbying in or something like that, or what might be a good way of getting the pistons burning again. Maybe you could work on some of your Astral Spectres fluff. That might be a good catalyst for hobby progress too.
That's actually nice.
Maybe it'll make you want to like get the characters out there. I've got something that's kind of starting to like steer my eyes towards the Star Eagles again.
Okay.
Tim, one of our listeners, he came down a few months ago, and I spoke to him last night, and he actually did a 3D design of the Star Eagles shoulder pad.
Whoa.
And I already ordered a test copy from Shapeways.
Amazing.
Yeah, I'm like, oh no. This makes me want to redo all my infantry.
And there's a lot of that.
There is. This army has this army is like all infantry.
Just saying, maybe it would have been way more practical to just make some kind of curved patch you could attach to establish, like already glued on shoulder pads or something like that, instead of a whole shoulder pad.
maybe.
But, that's just my German thoroughness just speaking here. This doesn't sound like a well thought out plan at all on your side. I'm sort of disappointed.
And I'm kind of worried about going to Adepticon now, because I might actually go there and find out Adam couldn't afford it anymore.
Right? Well, or I could be like, all right, I'm going to sell these guys, and I'm going to use the proceeds to buy Mark 6 armor from Forge World at Adepticon.
You could also get a nose ring and just hang a piano off it, but you most likely would not.
It would probably hurt a lot less than when Wendy found out what I did.
We all know the simple solution here. You can just do a stealth edit to your Codex Star Eagles and include one gray shoulder pad into their, color scheme.
Well, anyways, that's really exciting. I didn't realize how easy it was. Well, I mean, for somebody who knows what they're doing, it's kind of easy. It would have been a lot harder had I had to actually figure it out for myself. So that's really, really cool. So I hope someday I can kind of integrate that and actually have some nice looking infantry instead of the fast, kind of quick job I did. What else have I been doing? Oh, I worked on Deathwing Commission for my part-time job with Frontline Gaming. And this is my last one before my 3-week vacation from working on them. It was just two drop pods and two what are they called? Ironclad dreadnoughts. They were fun. It was nice to do Deathwing again, but the drop pods were horrifying. It was a rush job for various reasons, and I was pulling my hair out with the drop pods. And I'm still not sure if the customer likes them or not. So hopefully, fingers crossed, he likes my technique, and I won't have to do any more work before I go on vacation. So this weekend I'm going to Indiana to visit with family. I'm going to bring my Battlefleet Gothic book with me because of a project that we have coming up. And I also am planning for Du Bois GT. Last week I talked about how I brought my Du Bois GT list to the local tournament and tried it out. It worked pretty good, so I'm just going to do some minor changes. Right now, the list is the Green Tide. It's like 100 orcs with a war boss, 2 squads of Meganobs and trucks, a squad of tank busters and a truck, 2 squads of Grots, a Pain Boy, and a Weird Boy, which both go on the Green Tide. So I'm hoping that works a little bit better. The Meganobs, I think, will work out better than the extra tank busters and the vehicles for the Grots. I think
if I had that kind of orc army, I would just transport it in a bucket, like literally. Just a bucket full of boys and a few select models and blisters, like, I don't know, wrapped in Kleenex or something.
I'm considering actually making movement trays for them.
And I would just say that is my armies on parade display. No fancy
just throw a bucket.
Yeah, exactly. Just no fancy a Realm of Battle board tile underneath them or something. Your base is the bucket and it's full of boys. That's the display. It's a bucket of boys.
Yeah, get a stainless steel bucket from the store.
Exactly.
Fill it with orcs and paint in red ink.
Maybe
in
some
red paint.
stylish bullet
on the
holes
side
or
of
something
it.
like that. I mean, you Americans know how to put bullet holes into a bucket. That wouldn't be even an effort.
Yeah. Oh no. Yeah. I certainly can find somebody to shoot up the bucket for me.
Yeah. That's something I imagine would happen in America anyway. At some point in time, if you just have a bucket, at some point it's gonna get a few bullet holes. Like nothing special.
Put a sign above it with an arrow pointing down, and above it on the sign is spelled incorrectly display board, BORED.
Yeah, exactly.
Orcs in here. That sounds really fun, Camille. So I don't know. I might do some movement trays. I don't know. We'll see how much time I have. Du Bois GT is in November, so we'll see about that. I've also been working on the missions for our upcoming tournament at Grimfoe Games. We're doing one in early December. So if anybody wants to do a 1,500 point Highlander tournament, that's the one where you can only bring one of anything except for a select few things like troops and some dedicated transports. Just keep an eye out and head on over. I hope some of our listeners can show up again. We had a great time at the team tournament. This one's going to be a little more competitive. The best general is going to be the first place, but we'll still have paint, and we'll still have overall, and we'll still have sportsmanship scores or sportsmanship prizes and stuff. And of course, there will still be a Golden Sprue Cup going to the winner of the tournament.
Amazing. Now, just for the sake of clarification, so for Europeans and other people possibly not familiar with the term, like Highlander Tournament mode or whatever it is. It is defined by the army list selection shenanigans you just described, and there's no beheading your defeated foe involved, right?
No, sir. You don't have to behead your foe to take his power.
Okay.
You just have to defeat him to sap his will to live. That's all.
I think that's much more player friendly, but also sort of disappointing.
And of course, the copious amounts of alcohol that you consume between games also kind of helps to sap energy.
Shh, we don't talk about that. But yes, definitely. No, we have a fun time. The Highlander tournament is you can only take one of any unit, except in the case of troops, lower points, dedicated transports. This is my format, by the way, my version of it. Hit point hobbies were the original ones to do it, and it's a brilliant idea. But I just modified it a little bit so that you could take any number of transports as long as they're like less than 100 points. So Rhino lists, drop pod lists, truck lists are
I see what you did there. Somebody badly wanted to play his drop pod list.
I'm running the tournament, so I won't be playing in it. And there's some things that aren't 0 to 1, like priests and cryptex and stuff. Like some of that stuff you are allowed to take more than one of, and some of the stuff like chapter master. Marneus Calgar counts as a chapter master, so you can't take Marneus Calgar and a chapter master. You can't take an Imperial Knight and a Knight Paladin or whatever. So you can only take like one Imperial Knight. So
what if somebody wants to play an army of Imperial Knights after the Imperial Knights Codex? I see. You're not only doing the beginning part of that famous jingle, you're doing the whole thing, so that means like an extra FU.
Yeah. No, and it's more of it's not like just a thumb your nose. It's not like we're always going to do Highlander tournaments. It's to shake things up and have people try different things and have a good time about it. I'm trying to communicate that way people don't get too depressed that they think I'm always going to want to do this. But I think it's fun, and I think it's competitive, and I also think it's very fairly competitive. So I think
it definitely balances out some of those spam lists that dominate 40k for ages now. I gotta give you that. Definitely.
Yeah, a lot of people enjoy it. So, and it's been sweeping the nation really in the small tournament scene, and now it's starting to come to the big tournaments as well.
Now, the one decisive question for me would be: are you playing the Queen song? Like Princess of the Universe.
I really shouldn't I? I'm gonna try to find an amp so I can actually bring my microphone. And if I find a cheap amp, I will certainly start the tournament off with Princess of the Universe. I promise.
I mean,
karaoke.
Oh my God! What a fantastic idea. I thank you.
That
my players probably don't thank you, but I thank you for that idea.
I would run for the hills if you did.
We all know how much you love singing.
Oh, that's a fact. I think we need to bring back "It's a Good Feeling" for one of these episodes.
Oh, please, yeah, that was. Wait, so you mean we're not playing that at every outro of Monsters of the Forge?
Wait, you mean you're not listening to every single episode we put out?
Wait, I think I gotta go. Moving away real fast.
Snorri, what have you been up to?
I'm in the same boat as Camille.
Oh my god!
I pretty much have to admit that failing the burnout hit me hard at the moment.
I'll tell you what, you get to write the show notes for the next episode, and Camille gets to write the show notes for the episode after that. I'm out. I ain't writing no show notes.
Isn't writing show notes mostly my job anyway, or something like that?
That's a good point.
I don't feel too bad about that. Also, my boat is totally a new boat, and your boat is like a 500 years old dragon Viking boat.
At me.
Camille, get your dates right. 500 years is not long enough.
Yeah, let's say 1,000 years.
There we go. But yeah, it's been 2 weeks since last episode. I still haven't touched a model. I haven't glued anything, painted anything. It's kind of stuck there.
I've painted some Star Trek attack wing shit. Oh no! I'm so sorry. Oh no!
You just had to go there.
Come on, Snorri. I want to hear it. Say, from Hell's Heart, I stab at thee.
Nah. So, anyways, let's get back on track. I tried to pick up a certain.
I was talking about track. Sorry.
Snorri just started talking like we've been dominating the entire intro, and he can't get a word in edgewise.
It's my life in a nutshell.
You just want me to stop talking about Star Trek Attack Wing, and then you're like, let's get back on track. That was you know
what? Camille does have a good point.
You served me this one, good sir. You served me.
All right, go on.
Yeah, okay. So I'm still trying to finish Blood of Asaheim. I don't know how many months I've been reading that one now, but I keep dropping it on the floor and forget to pick it up for a couple of weeks.
Are there even any audiobooks for 40K?
Oh, there's plenty.
Yeah, definitely. Weren't we talking about the Pandarax just a few short weeks ago?
For example.
Go ahead, buddy.
Yeah. Well, speaking of audiobooks, I've kind of managed to sink myself into Harry Potter, but I'm almost done with all those. I'm on Order of the Phoenix book now, so...
The voice acting for those is pretty good, too.
I'm listening to one guy read the entire series in English, as in British English, because it's...
The guy, when he does Hermione, is hilarious.
So, yeah.
I feel caught up in some kind of mirror universe right here. So, my segues at least are tabletop wargaming related. You're talking about Harry Potter. Is there even like a Harry Potter skirmish game? And if not, why not?
This is what I want to talk about, though. Like, how much are the audiobooks for 40K? Because I was surprised. Like I've been listening to A Song of Ice and Fire, Game of Thrones books, and I'm on book 4, and I've been using Audible. And Audible is, you pay like a few bucks a month, and you get a credit every month, and you can basically get a book every month. And like new credits are like $10-12. And I just happened to look at the retail price on these audiobooks, and it's $50 freaking dollars.
Yeah,
who's paying $50 for an audiobook?
There's very big differences in audiobooks. You might not be aware of if you haven't listened into 40K audiobooks a lot, because you definitely do have like those abridged, read by only one guy things. And I think those, at Black Library, those, depending on the length, sort of span from like, I don't know, $5 to $15 or something like that. Or up to 20, or I'm not sure about that, because I'm paying in proper currency, But on the other hand, what are you talking about? Like an audiobook for $50 and stuff. And that perplexed me to no end at the beginning too. But then I realized that there's a very big difference between one guy like reading one novella, and that's it. And on the other hand, like having a full unabridged novel with multiple voice actors, sound effects, and all the jizz, and like, background music too.
Yeah.
And there is those kinds of things are out. I think the latest one is the Horus Heresy Damnation of Pythos, and that's like unabridged, so you get the full novel, and I think there's like sound effects and there's music and there's multiple voice actors and stuff, and this hence the price.
Okay, and it does take a long time to read those unabridged books.
Yeah, I think that those are like multiple CDs when you actually get hard copies.
I don't know. I mean, it's. I think a product costs as much as people are willing to pay for it, and I just don't see how people could be willing to pay $50. I understand there's a lot of production value that goes into it, but at the same time you have to make it up with volume, and I don't know how they're getting the volume to sell these at $50.
Well,
I think for me it seems like it harkens back to when it used to be like you'd buy an audiobook and it came in 25 cassettes, and that was a reasonable thing where you're like, well, yeah, $50, they're sending me 25 cassette tapes. But like these days, there's
but that was
the production is all you're paying for.
Always a misconception, because like for the studio or for the distributor or whatever, the cassettes cost pennies.
Mm-hmm.
Like the sheer raw material, you just like felt like you getting a more bang for your buck because you got like more sheer material into your hands, like something you can touch and something that is actually a lot. But most of those costs actually go into making those things, and that's sort of the rationale behind all of the audiobook pricing, and it's mostly true. Because, it's like with books, like when you print like a few 100,000, an edition of a few 100,000, it's not like you're actually paying $20 for the hardcover material value, because...
No, they pulp more than they sell sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. And they gotta make a profit too.
Yeah.
And pay the profit out to a lot of people involved. So, yeah, that's the ideal at least.
I really do wish that Black Library could release their audiobooks on Audible.
Oh my god!
It would make them available to so many more people. But at the same time, I'm pretty sure that there's a money issue going on here, that Audible is charging, and they have limits on how much you can charge. Mm-hmm. So that's probably one of the reasons why it's not being done.
Right. Yeah, you're probably right. It's they probably want to sell it for more than they're willing to. They want to probably sell it for more than Audible is willing to let them sell it for, I guess, or something having to do with how much of the profit goes to Audible or whatever. I just wish that I could get it on Audible so I could have a reasonable price and listen to these books while I'm hobbying or while I'm driving, instead of having to make time to read, which I just don't have time for right now.
Yeah,
I just plain don't. Even when I finish the Titans, I don't think I'm gonna have time to just sit there and crack open a book without carving time out of something else to do.
The only circumstances when I still actually have time to read a book for pleasure at the moment are when I'm riding in the subway or a bus or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's like, and even that is shrinking, because now that I've had one of those them fancy smartphones for more than a year now, it actually caught up with me, and I'm mostly just surfing the net.
Yeah, and it's not like I watch television. I maybe watch a half an hour a day on average. So, or an hour a day on average. So, anyways, did you have anything else, Snorri? I know we kind of, hijacked your...
Yeah, not really.
No.
I think he's sort of glad we hijacked it.
Yeah, it actually turned into an interesting conversation.
No, yeah, it's a good conversation to have, particularly, we talk about the fluff all the time, so it's a good topic.
Yeah, let's just start off by introducing what we're actually going to talk about, because we can always give that a couple of minutes too.
Oh my goodness!
You mean, what were we talking about like 3 weeks ago when we recorded that episode or something like that? Oh yeah, it was more than that, wasn't it?
We were supposed to release this episode 4 weeks ago.
I think there was something about assassins being particularly topical at that point in time, but I can't remember what it was.
Yeah.
Everything's been kind of topical. It's just like the Dark Eldar was too early, Right? We could have released that this week. It would have been perfect.
Indeed.
Yeah, Master of the Forge is being recorded on Tropical Island.
Oh no!
Yeah.
One demerit, sir.
You're
One demerit for you.
Not glad anymore I'm here, are you?
All right, so yeah, the Assassin's book came out a few weeks ago. This is the episode for that. And a lot of people have been talking about it, but we're going to talk about the lore.
Nobody is talking about it anymore, Adam.
No, yeah, they are. They're still talking about it.
There were a couple of codexes released in between, so we kind of forgot.
This is like 2014 GW. Like, you know, talking about something that was released a month ago once would have been very current and very topical. But by now there's been like 6 Codex mini decks releases in the middle, and something controversial too, and nobody cares anymore.
And it was all leaked 3 months before that also.
Is not your father's 40k anymore.
It's true. They're keeping us on our toes, that's for sure. But I loved the idea of the Assassin's Codex. I think mostly because we came up with it before GW did, so that's cool.
wasn't it more of a data slate than a codex? Like,
yeah, it was.
Yeah, it's a data slate.
But, you know, assassins, like Inquisitors, don't really need a codex. It's not that many units.
Yeah, but, you know, Legion of the Damned don't either, and they got one.
Mm-hmm.
Like a proper mini decks. But whatever. This is just nitpicking.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, it was high production value. I liked it, and I liked talking about it, and I liked learning what I did about the Officio Assassinorum. There's a lot of stuff I just plain didn't know, and anybody who's like me and is kind of slowly, as we go through this project that is Masters of the Forge, learning about the fluff of the universe, I think you'll find this really interesting. At least I hope as interesting as I did.
And hey, you get to listen to us actually talk about fluff that we have written.
Yeah, that's right. That was a lot of fun, and I think that's a good thing to do in the future too. Like what we did was we made lists and tied the assassins into our actual, own fluff and tried to kind of do what I think GW kind of wants everybody to do, and that's kind of write the story around the rules that come out.
Yeah, so let's roll into the meat of the show.
Let's do it.
Is life in the hobby? Is life in the hobby? Narrative gaming is so much fun. That's the way it ought to be done. Is life in the hobby? Is live.blogspot.com.
So on tonight's episode, we're going to talk about the Officio Assassinorum, and in general, that will be just the usual stuff. An imperial organization who recruits, trains, and deploys elite assassins against the enemies of the Emperor of Mankind and other subjects.
Yeah, I think elite is kind of an understatement, isn't it? Like, these guys are no joke. And I use the term guys as definitely as a neutral, because they are equal opportunity employers at the Officio Assassinorum.
Yeah, definitely. We need some conversions going on with, other gendered assassins of various temples.
Yeah, these guys are no joke. So, I find it interesting that the High Lords of Terra kind of need this special branch of, elite warriors in order to sort of get a lot of work done. I can imagine in a huge bureaucracy like the Imperium that sometimes there are things that you can't handle with a military. Sometimes there are targets that just have too much political clout or too much public backing to get to them in any other way.
Yeah. And then again, there's just, the ominous factor of their very existence. Like, okay, you want to secede, we get that, but you do know that our government pretty much formalized assassination and that we've got like an official officio for it, right? You know that those people exist. And that's just grand.
One thing that I can see here is that, you don't want to send the Imperial Guard, or I'm sorry, the Amigos, into a planet and just like try to take out a couple of people.
It took a while, but it stuck. I knew it.
Yeah, I think Amigos is just so much better than Astra Militarum or Imperial Guard. It sounds awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
Amigos,
yes.
All right,
there we go. Yeah, so like I said, you don't really want to send Imperial Guard into a planet and try to take out a small number of people. It just doesn't work.
No, I'm gonna kill this one ant with this backhoe.
Yeah, that's also pretty much what I see, that you don't want to send Space Marines to do the same thing, because Space Marines might not really like the whole, we may be a tool for the Imperium to keep Xenos away and everything. We're not assassins.
Yeah, and also, whatever you do, like an orbital strike or sending in the troops to kill a particular, let's say, for example, a cult leader, or if you send in the Space Marines, it's actually like even on the levels of in terms of the levels of terror that can be spread in the 40k universe, it's sort of much more effective to people just to know that there are those faceless, silent, unseen assassin figures that have like no presence and no charisma at all and don't talk to anyone and aren't seen by anyone. And then you just find the head of your organization dead in his, I don't know, bed chamber or whatever. And you'll never know how it happened and when it will happen again and who's next in line. So you really better just go home and be a good citizen again.
Obey.
Yeah, it's really, in a way, it's just much more horrendous.
Yeah, now I'd say that, okay, so you have Death Watch, which is Space Marines, kind of close to being assassins. They might take out a whole cult. The assassin would either take out the leader or the leadership. So it might much more small scale than what even Death Watch would do.
Just a real quick overview. You've got pretty much like like an actual, bureaucratic structure in there. You have a Grand Master of Assassins, and he is by tradition one of the actual members of the Senate of the High Lords of Terra. And technically, the whole officio is like part of the imperial bureaucracy. Although, and that's another fun fact about the whole thing, they sort of not only take orders and sanctioned missions, but also from time to time just seem to, go off on their own and do their thing. And that is pants-crappingly terrifying for the rest of the Imperium of mankind. And I'm sure that this is exactly how it is intended, because nobody should feel safe. Like, they might be doing their own thing whenever they want.
Yeah, it doesn't really help that in the year 546 of M32, the entire High Lords of Terra were slain by the Grand Master of the Officio Assassinorum, a guy named Drakan Vangorich. Just because he wanted all the power. He didn't want to share. That's kind of scary.
That was very scary. I think it took like 50 Space Marine chapters or something like that to bring back order to the Imperium after a lengthy crusade, and just reinstate an actual Council of High Lords again. That was an ugly business.
So maybe a little bit too much power concentrated into one person here, because I think that's probably one guy more or less on the top, being the final word on whether you do or do not.
Mm-hmm.
So, as much as the High Lords of Terra may debate whether to do something, it's one guy with the finger on the trigger, and that's kind of scary.
Yeah. Now, as you probably know, and as we're going to talk about in more depth very soon, is the fact that the Officio is separated into temples that have like their particular specialities, and also are pretty much locally in secrets separated from each other. Although all assassins are basically recruited from the Schola Progenium, and at this point, I sort of gotta ask if that's really just the default thing of the default recruitment ground for all kinds of shady Imperial organizations.
Well, you do have probably the most loyal and motivated people.
Orphans.
In the Imperium. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You have Imperial officers dying, leaving orphans to this organization, and they are being brainwashed from, whenever they come in, as if they haven't probably been kind of brainwashed already, being the children of high-ranking officials and everything. So you have some super loyal people here, and I'm pretty sure they picked the worst of the worst. The people who just cannot be Sisters of Battle or Commissars or Scions.
Tempestus Scions, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, whoever fail all those different groups of people or all those different organizations, yeah, we have a job for you. You might die during training, but that's life.
Yeah, I find this whole I find this whole Schola Progenium stuff hilarious because of the whole trope with if you wanna in some kind of media, if you wanna communicate that some place is like really effed up or somebody is really vile, you've got that like default trope of stomping an orphanage. But like 40k is grimdark and
you don't want to stomp any orphanages.
Those
orphanages are full of
40k
badasses.
It's like grimdark to the max, but that one trope with the orphanage burning, nobody messes with that orphanage.
The orphanage messes with you.
Yeah, exactly. It's Soviet Empire, Imperium
exactly.
Mankind.
In 40k universe, mess with orphanage mess with you.
Yeah, exactly. And if you go there, there's a good chance that you're gonna be turned into one of the most super awesome agents of the Imperium ever.
Yeah.
And I think there's a good chance. I think that's like a 90% quote or something like that. So, that must be some kind of a trope in itself in the 40k universe. Like, yay, my parents died.
For us. It's a hard knocks life for us in Imperial Orphanage. We'll learn to stab you in your... Nothing rhymes with orphanage.
First of all, you make a song out of that right now, and second, I can just imagine those children on that transport like, oh god, I'm so glad my parents died and I'm going to the Schola Progenium. Hey, you don't need to tell me I killed my parents just so that I can go to Schola Progenium.
Yeah, that's probably the Averser Assassin right there.
Yes. All right.
So guys, I think do you want to quickly go over the assassin temples that are not provided in the new book, so that we can get those out of the way before going into detail about the super cool lists that we've produced for these using the new rules?
Yeah, sure. Definitely. I mean, I'm just gonna take the Venanum away right here because they're rather simple and they're like not described in any real like depth in the fluff. Venanum would be the poison guys. They're like specialists in all kinds of poisons. I think they're called like the best poison guys in the galaxy, apart from like the freaks at Komarok.
Yeah, I can imagine from our last episode that is probably true. So they're like masters of like apothecarion and stuff like that, and then they basically take the coward's way and poison the emperor's enemies.
Yeah, and you see why you don't really have a model for it, because those are the guys who like perfectly blend in, who like not only do the alchemical work and like just engineer the best poison for the occasion, for the target, for the way they want to deliver it, for the show they want to pull off with it, for the kind of way they want their their target to die. They also go out in the field, but they just blend into like some kind of enemy organization for months or even years to deliver that perfect poison at the perfect, most effective opportunity, and then they're gone, and nothing more basically happens.
Right.
Yeah.
The next one I can imagine, I think, is probably quite popular in the role-playing game, and that would be the Vanus Temple, who internet you to death.
Yes. They are basically the internet trolls of the 40k universe.
Yeah, political assassination more than actual assassination, or they politically assassinate you so much that other people want to kill you.
Exactly. They will go onto your Facebook page and post embarrassing pictures, whether they are doctored or not. They will post, texts to your wall, for example, saying like, "Oh, that was a lovely night we had together the other week, and I would love to see you again." Signed, the other guy's wife and everything, just so that suddenly the Lord on the other planet suddenly wants to kill you with everything he has.
Hey, I had a wonderful time last night. I really appreciate how you were able to look past the fact that I'm half Xenos. I hope we can have a great life together. Change relationship status.
Yeah, and
exactly.
also apart from all that lulls that are like completely fitting right now, because that's the kind of intelligence warfare they actually wage over any kind of networks, and but they also like gather intelligence for the other temples and for other imperial institutions, like actual information specialists. It just sort of makes me wonder if there's actually that much of a centralized digital network within the Imperium of Mankind that would like make this worthwhile, or if those guys actually like spent their half their time in like analog ancient libraries or something like that, and they're like, I didn't sign up for reading like 10,000 ton books all day.
I imagine that that the Vanus Temple has has a huge scriptorum and has a lot of robot dudes working for them.
Well, I can also imagine that they actually sneak into other people's huge-ass libraries and also informational systems, actually,
And hang out in CD bars listening to rumors.
Yeah,
and planting them.
There's some nice quote from Fontariel, who is a character in the Horus Heresy novel Nemesis, that is like the assassin book out there, because it seems like the Officio Assassinorum didn't really change too much since the Horus Heresy, so you can pretty much read that one as a guidebook on how a group of assassins would operate. And there's like this this info site of Clade Venus called Fontariel, and he's like, the cleanest kill is the one that another performs in your stead with no knowledge of your incitement.
Yeah,
that makes total sense. So then we have another weirder temple.
Yeah.
Who wants to talk about this one?
That would be the Myrorus Temple. And that's, assassins developed using illegal stuff. There's a mix of mutants, Xenos, all kinds of weird stuff. And they're supposed to absorb the biomass of their victims to evolve even further.
That sort of has like an radical inquisitor flavor to it, because they're just using something that is like highly, highly persecuted in the Imperium, aka crossbreeding, to create that kind of very oddly specific assassin. I think they've been featured in like one novel, like Seventh Retribution by Ben Counter up until now, and I might want to just read up on that, because I think that's quite a recent addition, and I haven't heard of those guys before.
Yeah, I think that this one of the three could call for new rules in the actual in 40K. Like
Yes.
you could use this, but at the same time, I'm looking, after looking at all the assassins in the book, you could almost model one and use it for any of the other assassins, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think? Because I don't think it would be too different as far as the abilities you get for each assassin. You could even just say, okay, well, this is my Myrorus guy. He looks like a Tyrannid or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and speaking of Tyranids, this thing screams Tyrannid because the whole absorbing biomass
and
rapidly
adapting.
evolve. Yeah, that's very Tyrannidy. So I guess you could just put a gene stealer on the table and say, "Oh, it's a Myrorus."
Right.
I like. I've got a gene stealer and I want to paint it black, pretty much.
All right, the three of us for this episode came up with a list and some background with the armies that we're including them with for three assassins. Now, there's only three of us, so one of the assassins was left out, and we should talk about that temple before moving on. And that is the Calexis Temple. And I think this one is going to be the assassin you really do see a lot on the table, especially in a competitive event, because their job is to poo on psychers real bad.
Yeah, and with 7th edition Psychic phase, they might actually have gotten a lot of new life.
Yeah, and they're gonna shut down. Speaking from a competitive standpoint, they're gonna start shutting down a lot of the nasty Death Stars that are out there.
Yeah,
but like this, it's weird. How, like, I can imagine this being a very strange and terrifying temple to join. Like, you're going after some of the most dangerous. The most dangerous villains in the Imperium, really, right? Like how do you defend yourself against psychic powers?
okay,
right?
First of all, I think most of Calexis assassins are actually vet grown. So, like, and have the whole pariah gene going on.
Mm-hmm.
That's like a big part of their fluff. So I think,
they're pariahs.
Yeah, exactly.
I didn't notice that.
So, I think their life has been like terrifying and strange even before, like before formally operating as a Calexis assassin. But let's not get too far ahead out of ourselves. I just wanted to get that out of the way. Everything.
I think that's any real details like that is actually kind of important. I mean, so that's interesting. Tell us in detail again about the pariahs. I think that they're dead to the warp, right?
Yeah, right. They're like warp nulls. Psychers cannot sense them, and demons you can't like even see them like in any way at all because they have no presence at all in the warp.
And not only this, when you say that they're invisible to psychers, that's not quite correct.
No,
actually.
I said they're invisible to demons. Psychers physically see them, but they're like utterly creeped out because they cannot sense like their presence, which many psychers just like common wisdom is that your warp presence is basically the equivalent of your soul, and though they have none. Full stop.
Yeah, and it's actually if you read. If you read Pandorax, then you will notice that at the end there are a couple of pariahs there, and they actually cause physical pain to psychers because they're not just like no warp presence. They might actually have sort of like a warp hole that radiates some painful energy.
Yeah.
Normal people find them creepy to be around because there's something wrong with them, but they don't know why. Psychers feel that whole... There's something so wrong with these people, it's actually not just it's really bugging them to the point where it can be physically problematic.
Yeah, just imagine some guy passing you by in the streets and he seems to absorb any kind of light. Like it's not like he's just dressed in black or something at all. It's like he's a vacuum of he's a vacuum of optical presence. That would pretty much be the effect for the Psyker that would that a null would cause, added to the whole spiritual component. But back to the Colexus himself, before we lose ourselves in that kind of trivia, there, as you mentioned before, Adam, they're like the Psyker killers among the temples. They are actually, some of them are actually recruited as psychic nulls, null entities. So many of them are vat grown, making them even more distant from usual human beings. And another fact I found very interesting about them is they have the most secret temple of all, and it's said to be located on a dark rogue planet in the blackness of space. It orbits no sun, and it is beyond the reach of the Astronomicon, which is just when you know about the whole Astronomicon thing, what it is, the Emperor's Light and the guiding factor of any kind of warp travel and so on. That's just utterly creepy.
So to us, 40k is pretty grimdark. In the 40k universe, the Calixus planet would be grimdark.
Yeah. By the way, the Eldar are really, especially the Alitok Farseers, are really, really creeped out by those guys, even going as far as running a centuries-long effort to just destroy that temple, to just make it go away, and they can't manage it because they can't see it.
If my entire life was based around my relationship with the warp, and these guys shot negative warp energy out of a gun on their face, you know what? I'd avoid them too.
Yeah, good segue into the equipment, by the way, because that's just another thing that is just utterly weird, because it's not like they're only predestined pretty much to sneak up on Psykers and just kill them, because under normal circumstances that might suffice. They've got something on their heads that is just a really big helmet with a even bigger eye device that is called an animus speculum, and nobody really know how it works. And I'm pretty sure, knowing 40k, that the assassins themselves don't really know how, don't really know the inner workings of those things. But it pretty much fires blasts of negative psychic energy at which have which are devastating and have the side effect that they drain the power of nearby Psykers to bolster its power. And they have something called the Ethereum that is a confusion field projector. So it's not only the fact that while they sneak up on the enemy, to whoever who spots them, they just naturally cause great discomfort. They've got that field pretty much distracting and just irritating the living God Emperor of mankind out of anyone in the vicinity, which makes them pretty much, impossible to target, even if everybody, and as opposed to, the Vindicare, who just, sneaks out into position and doesn't want to be seen. I think everyone who is around a Colexus assassin definitely feels and knows that something is wrong, but nobody can pinpoint it, and you can't target that guy or girl in that capacity.
Yeah, and, I think that, and they also have psych out grenades, which is a really cool. It's a really nice grenade. But the one thing about this assassin is it is a lot. It's 140 points, and honestly, you don't have a lot of utility outside of killing psychers. They aren't terrible. I mean, obviously they're not terrible in close combat, but they're not 140 points worth of close combat.
Yeah, definitely.
So, all right, guys, do you want to move into our own creations here as far as lists and knowledge of the individual houses?
So I'm just going to start out with the Vindicare Temple and the Vindicare Assassin as such. So the motto of the Vindicare Temple would be Exitus Acta Probat. The outcome justifies the deed. As you probably know from your very own tabletop experience, the Vindicare Assassin is like the sniper guy among the assassins. And they're known as like the most efficient unseen sniper assassins in the galaxy, fielded by the Imperium of Mankind. They're like specialize in ending the lives of like heretic demagogues, enemy commanders, and other central figures of any kind of anti-imperial force you can imagine, or any kind of, I don't know, civil rights movement or any of that bullcrap. With one shot, and they operate from like really extreme ranges and hit their mark through really like impossible conditions where nobody can really possibly fathom how they could have made that kind of shot, and that is sort of their shtick. And they take greatest care to deploy and retreat unseen. All in all, this tactic combines into something that strikes fear into the enemy's heart through, just the sheer fact of their existence, because you never have a clue when they strike. You never know if you're even like important enough to warrant the deployment of a Vindicare assassin, but those guys exist, and they're absolutely terrifying because they can line up superhuman shots from like a distance of 10 miles, with tons of ruins and buildings between you through fog and like masses of people and whatever. So even when uninvolved, their reputation alone is like a disheartening threat to anyone who really tries to mobilize any force against the Imperium.
Yeah, there's a cool scene in the Siege of Rax, Book 1 from Forge World, where the leader of the Raxian uprising is supposed to conduct a public speech to rally his heretical followers on the planet, whether they like it or not, And a couple of miles out, there's a Vindicare assassin. He's just sitting in a tower, and he tries to take the guy out with a single shot. Public execution just to show, going against the Imperium is a really bad idea. Unfortunately, the demagogue here, he kind of has this holy protections, or quote unquote holy protection, because he has one of those like Iron Halo like force field things around his neck. So he kind of survives, and the assassin dies. But
that's not the rule.
It's typical of how they would operate, because if it's public, making an example by making a somewhat messy death of a single individual, Vindicare is perfect for you.
Yeah, exactly. Their main task is, like, as you just stated, one of preemptive strikes and revenge killings, preferably very public, and just the most effective kill of that kind of personality is definitely while he's like holding a speech or whatever. And they're known for beheading all forces who rise against mankind, like often, as we know, mentioned in length, disheartening them from regrouping by the sheer terror of assassination through a faceless, invisible force. Because you've got those charismatic guys who rally against the Empire, right? Imperium, right? And then they just get shot in the head, and nobody knows from where and by whom, and that's it. So theirs is obviously the art of patience and pitch-perfect precision, working and waiting for weeks to just line up that one perfectly calculated shot, as well as they need stealth and evasion to get in position and leave it with impunity. And also, which is very handy for a sniper, they're capable of entering a state of meditation and superhuman focus, slowing their hearts to one beat a minute while lying in wait, until they spring back into full consciousness as soon as they spot their target. Which reminds me of Metal Gear Solid 3 a lot, but I'm not going to reference it here because you guys aren't familiar with that, and I'm just forever alone.
Nope.
And did I read something about did we discuss this before, where one assassin just kind of sat on a planet for months and months and months waiting for a dark Eldar or a Corsair prince or something an Eldar to fly by, and he woke up and shot it out of the sky with his Vindicare rifle?
I think so. I think I've heard about that bit of fluff too, but don't ask me where that is from.
Yeah, me neither. I just read it. So, what do you think about the rules for the Vindicare as far as on the tabletop?
To be honest, I haven't read about the differences of the current data slate rules in regards to their previous portrayal as a part of Codex and of the Grey Knight Codex too much. I just know that I was always aware and fascinated by the Vindicare's fluff, and also the Vindicare Assassin is actually the assassin I own. And that's been idly sitting now for years in my collection because I can't use it. From time to time I used the model as a stand-in for Sergeant Telian. But I remember facing some and knowing all that awesome fluff. And then, what actually happens on the tabletop is he's sitting in a crater and has a real good cover save, but keeps rolling once and misses 5 turns for 5 turns while trying to shoot up a tactical squad. So this is I don't know. You sometimes you just have that dissonance of something that in the background of 40k that is supposed to be something utterly sector changing whenever deployed, and then you have just a guy with a rifle sitting in a crater missing for 5 turns. Okay, so this is the perfect shot. You've now lined up for months, and you're sitting almost in the open. Everybody's seeing you, and everybody laughs at you because you're missing all the time. And my sniper scouts just at some point just stopped shooting at you because you're that ineffective. But I can't hit you either because I can't roll dice either. So I don't know. I was sort of underwhelmed for the 2 or 3 games I faced them, but my opponents.
What is up with you? And is the Coriolis effect somehow modified in Germany? Did the Americans leave some sort of device under your country that causes things to roll strangely?
I don't know. I think it's more all those tournaments in the past few years where Vindicares were deployed left some kind of null void of good dice rolling, and karma decided to shift around the bad luck that follows from that to Germany or something like that. Because I have heard the horrible stories of how good they can be from other people, and I'm like, yeah. The bigger the rifle, they must be compensating for something.
Well, yeah, they're pretty good. I like them. I think that they'll serve a purpose. But 150 points. They got 3 wounds, so that's pretty cool. And they have that good save, like you were talking about. So I don't know. I think people will still use it. All right, man. So how do you think this war gear will affect the tabletop, and also what do you think of its impacts in a narrative sense?
In terms of war gear, you've got the Exodus rifle, which is supposed to be the best sniper weapon in the galaxy, and I actually think the rules deliver from what I've seen on it.
It's a big honking gun, that's for sure.
It's definitely a big honking gun, and the whole shtick with it is that it's custom crafted for every specific operator. But the thing that makes the Exodus rifles real as effective as they are would be the fact that they fire a huge variety of ammunition types that to do the job. And first of all of those types of bullets are inscribed with blessings and other arcane, pretty much summonings in real fine patterns to make sure that they work super well against demons as well. They make they pretty much, as far as I've read up on that, they while they approach a demon, those spiral patterns of text inscribed into the bullets pretty much force a part of them into reality for the impact to actually, have its full effect, which is sort of awesome. Right.
And it also helps that the bullets are dipped in Adeptus Sororita blood?
No, but probably yes.
I think I've heard a bunch of folks kind of questioning whether or not a sniper rifle is even capable of this kind of business, even in the 41st millennium. And I'll have you know, all you need to do is go on the internet and do a search for 50 caliber sniper rifle. and you will find all the business you need to get that job done. Let me tell you.
I think isn't the 50 cal the one that can penetrate the armor plating of a light armored fighting vehicle and take out the pilot in a explosion of bloody mess from like a mile away?
Pretty much all that. Pretty much all that and then some, yeah. And now transfer that to the 41st millennium, where you just have these crazy psychic and futuristic ammunition types, and you get the veils of believability part pretty quickly at that point.
Yeah, exactly. And apart from that fact, there's, as I mentioned before, the sheer variety of kinds of bullets, like, armor penetrating and shield penetrating, hellfire, acidic, and just anything you can imagine for any kind of very particular job. It's represented on the tabletop a bunch by different kinds of armor, by different kinds of ammunition you can use, similar to what Staring Guard veterans can do.
One of the coolest things is that the ammo is swappable between the rifle and the pistol.
Yeah, that too. They have the Exodus pistol, which is just that huge pistol as a backup weapon.
Dude, that pistol is as big as his head.
Yeah, exactly, and that's an adequate caliber pistol that uses the same ammo. And that's just, for the close encounters, if a Vindicare gets into the awkward position of having to fight his way out of somewhere where he made his shot and so on. And it's very effective at that, although I assume that he is that a Vindicare assassin that would have to, engage enemies in order to sneak out and leave a planet would be like the laughingstock of the temple for the next few months, because line up that shot, but then he just gets spotted. That idiot.
Well, to have a rifle that can hit something at that many miles, it's going to be noisy. And chances are there's going to be someone close to where you are, even if they don't see you. Get in there and stay up there, maybe for a couple of weeks, waiting for your target and everything. They're most likely going to hear you, and as soon as you fire that one shot, you're probably going to be exposed. So that's what I'm pretty sure that they hit the target, just make sure yep, he's dead, and then they bolt off and just hope that they don't get into trouble.
It's just part of their proverbial pragmatism that they definitely do have a backup weapon, and it's okay. They can just silently club people to death with it, as I've heard, because that's just one huge ass pistol.
I'm pretty sure they would prefer to club people to death silently than to fire that pistol.
I think it's just like the Calidus in that, even though you see dude with giant rifle, sniping people out at range, you're still dealing with a 3 wound, weapon skill 8, 5 attacks with with close combat weapon and pistols, 6 attacks on the charge, close combat monster. So they are fairly. They're all heavily trained and ready for pretty much any kind of situation.
Yeah, I can totally imagine, I don't know, some cultist catching a Vindicare that just made his shot, and the Vindicare just panics and shoots him with his Exodus pistol, and the cultist goes to ground and is like, ow, 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 wait, that's a real fancy bullet. And the assassin is like, yeah, it's been inscribed by 1,000 virgins and 1,000 knights with, anti-psyker summonings, and also it's dipped in the tears of the emperor. And the cultist is like, wow, that's so cool. I always thought I'm gonna die through a lasgun shot or something like that, but that is a real fancy bullet. Thanks, man.
So Camille, you wrote a list to incorporate the Vindicare with your Space Marines chapter.
Yeah.
You want to talk about that?
I have Space Marines, I have a Vindicare, here's a list. So, what I actually did with the Vindicare was, because, as opposed to as opposed to good old Snotter here, who plays Firehawks. My chapter is actually cool with assassins. There's no problem between the Officio and them. And I would figure that, Space Marines and Assassins, being both sort of elite tool of the Imperium of Mankind, tools of the Imperium of Mankind, would find themselves in, on common ground, pretty much more often than your generic, I don't know, Imperial Guard platoon or whatever. And I can also imagine that there's like some kind of trade of favors between, the Officio and several chapters. Like, you owe us for that and that campaign that and that many centuries ago or something like that. So what I actually made up is a 1,500 points list of Astral Spectres with a Vindicare Assassin, flavored as an extraction force. So what you have there is a Vindicare Assassin on the ground that actually already did his job, and you've got but it's a little more complicated than the cultist situation I just described, because he's been spotted and he's pretty much pinned down by fire, and maybe his transport, his ride back home has been compromised, and now the enemy is closing in on him. And now we've got a very mobile army of Space Marines pretty much just coming in to beat back the whole army that converges on that assassin's position, and to extract him. That would be the idea. Mm-hmm. Now, as the Warlord and HQ, you've got a Master of the Forge on a bike with a conversion beamer. He's gonna join the bike squad.
As you do. So cool.
I actually don't, but I intend to. But yeah, that's one of the classics in Space Marine list, starting with 4th edition, I think, when conversions, beamers, and Masters of the Forge became a thing. Or was it 5th? I'm not sure anymore. I think it was 4th.
I don't know, but it's pretty rad, and just begging for an awesome bike conversion that shoots lasers.
Yeah, I love conversions, by the way. So for troops, you've got 2 5-man tactical squads of Space Marines with melter, a combi melter on the sergeant, in each one of them in a drop pod with a Deathwing launcher.
Yeah, I love drop pods with Deathwing launchers. I liked it before it was the cool sauce. I'm gonna get a little black sunglasses on you guys, but I love just shooting giant templates out of drop pods.
Yeah, it's like one of the funnest parts of the games when you have a few drop pods just loaded with melter weaponry, and they come down first turn, because that's about half of your drop pods. And you just start up the beginning shuffle of what enemy armor will survive and which one will get fried. I like to call those drop pods, in themselves, the melter bombs. I normally like to field full tactical squads in that, just to give the enemy something to really worry about for a few more turns in their backfield, while the rest of my army pretty much operates with impunity, But in that case, I just left it at, pretty much, those are pretty much vehicle assassin squads, and they deploy, fitting the theme of the army, they deploy via drop pods, and just... you're going to see later how it makes sense that there's only 10 guys in 2 drop pods. So for a fast attack, and let me at this point mention that this is an unbound army, because I don't give a crap about the Force Org anymore, and this is not made unbound so that I can field, 12 Ironclad Dreadnoughts or 4 Storm Eagles or something like that. It's not actually real crazy. I just really wanted to take 5 fast attack choices, and I went for it.
Cool.
Yeah. So you've got this is a bit of a silly order. Let's put heavy support first, because there's only 1 unit in that, and that would be a Storm Raven with twin-linked heavy bolters, a twin-linked assault cannon, hurricane bolter systems, and additional armor. And that one is flavored up as the actual extraction vehicle for the drop-podded infantry and that lone Vindicare Assassin. Full stop.
That's a lot of DACA, my friend.
Yeah, it's a lot of DACA. It's additional armor for, they, reinforce it A-team style because they know that thing's gonna fly Exactly.
Hey, I got the right one this time.
Yeah, you did. Anyway, because this is like the bird that would like fly into a hot LZ and just pick up that assassin and a few space marines, and they know it's gonna get under fire, so they reinforced it, and that's pretty much the heart of the whole army. If there wasn't like a whole army of enemies converging on that position, they probably would have only sent that one transport. But this way, they need just some ground support. Now, speaking of ground support or support in general, you've got the fast attack section. As I said, five entries. You've got 2 Storm Talon gunships with Skyhammer rocket launchers, which I just, really like.
Yeah, they're great, yeah.
And those are the escort, like the wing vehicles for the Storm Raven. They're like their escort. And on the ground, you've got a bike squadron, a full one, of 8 Space Marine bikers and an attack bike. 2 grav guns, a sergeant with a combi grav gun, and a heavy bolter on the attack bike. You're gonna put. I would put the Warlord, like the Master of the Forge, on bike into that squad, and just like either that or actually leave him out and combat squad the whole squadron for maximum tactical flexibility, because that's what you can do when you have 8 bikes and an attack bike, and that's very cool.
Mm-hmm.
And those are basically pretty much the cronies of the Master of the Forge riding along. And you've got a scout bike squadron of 4 scouts on bikes with 3 assaulters grenade launchers and a sergeant with melter bombs, and they are actually the ones who are doing and did the recon in the whole operation. And for some more support in any case, because I just like that kind of army selection choice. It's just a neat 100 points to round off any kind of list for me, is an attack bike squadron. 2 attack bikes with multi-meltas. I had real good experiences with them because they're one of those precious units that are more survivable than they seem, because they don't have the biggest battlefield presence. They have 2 wounds per model. They have toughness 5. They have the whole cover save rule shenanigans with being fast and everything. And enemies either put pour far too much fire into those while they breeze from cover to cover, or they ignore them. And either one is bad news for them themselves.
I have a buddy who plays Blood Angels who swears by that unit, and he takes it in almost every game. They're really great, well, especially for the Blood Angels, because they're going to get feel no pain in most situations. So exactly. Not only are they hard to kill from the toughness 5 and the great armor and cover save and the tough, but also they get feel no pain, which is dumb.
If you paid attention to previous episodes, you know that I play my this is going to the listeners, by the way. You know that I play my Astral Spectres with Iron Hands chapter tactics, so mine have feel no pain too.
Oh, 6+, yeah. So yeah, that unit is actually a very, very deceiving first blood. It's like, I'm gonna get first blood. Mm-hmm. Why aren't they dead yet?
Yeah, exactly, pretty much. Exactly. And now, from the Officio Assassinorum data slate, you've got the secondary detachment, and that's the Vindicare Assassin. That is the core of the whole story. So, all in all, to summarize it, you've got the Assassin, you've got 2, small infantry units dropping in via drop pods. You've got their ride back home, which is the Storm Raven, which is supposed to pick up those tactical marines and the Vindicare. And you've got the whole ground support force closing in out of bikes, scout bikes, and attack bikes that just covers his retreat.
Nice. Yeah, I think this is a pretty cool list, and it's very. I think it tells the story of what's going on pretty well by the way it's formed. So I think you've succeeded here.
Yeah, thank you very much. You'll notice that I just made sure I have the transport capacity to even get the tactical marines back home, because this is not about establishing a bridgehead. This is about going in, picking up that guy, and leaving with impunity.
Cool.
So I would feel really bad if I had, say, another 10-man tactical squad in there that doesn't have like some kind of transport.
So my assignment was the Calidus Assassin. They employ strange and archaic arts to get within arm's reach, such as extreme surgery, the use of the drug polymorphine, or most strange of all, social interaction. Most Calidus are female, as their physiology lends itself to the training and work which needs to be done. And maybe GW felt a little strange about male Calidus turning into female Calidus, and maybe they had a little problem with that. I don't know.
Maybe
the 80s. It was the 80s.
Exactly.
You never know.
So now I can see why you call your research in Calidus, psychology and physiology an assignment. I'm sure you had fun with that.
The Calidus are meant to blend in not only with their surroundings, but also society. With the use of bioimplants, rigorous training, and polymorphine, they are capable of taking nearly any shape they desire, whether it be an Eldar, Tyranid gene stealer, whatever. They can even contort themselves into strange shapes in order to fit through small areas. So they can really they are the infiltrator's infiltrator. The Calidus Assassin gathers as much information as she can about her target. She neutralizes the target and then often assumes her target's place in society. She will often wait until the confusion or climax of a battle to reveal herself and slay her mark. She will then assume her target's identity and begin to sow discard throughout the land. So this assassin is more of your, like, traditional, almost D&D idea of what an assassin is.
Like over-sexualized?
I think they are. I think they could be, kind of over-sexualized and kind of the Black Widow-ish assassin. So in combat, though, they are a blur. They seem to spring from nowhere, and they psionically incinerate their enemies with their neural shredder, and then they rush in with their arcane, like, phase sword, which is almost a close combat D weapon. The quicker they can get the job done, the less likely they will be found out before the time is ripe. They want to dispatch their target quickly and then assume their identity, so they don't want anybody to see what's going on.
You don't want people to know that your target is dead, so you kind of pretend to be that target just long enough to make a mess of things and then just, like, disappear.
And also for the lulls.
Right.
Yeah, indeed.
The polymorphine allows the Calidus to deploy within an inch, infiltrate within an inch of an enemy unit, and they can only fire snapshots. I think this is really cool. I wouldn't put them an inch. The Calidus would probably show up. It's a one small model, and it'll fit perfectly inside the corner of your average ruin. And you just put them right in their back lines, and especially near something like an Imperial Guard blob squad. You put this thing over there, and they are going to myrtleize pretty much anything that you put them near. They're going to have to dedicate an entire unit to get clambering inside that ruin and then assaulting something that just doesn't want to be, is begging you to assault it, to be honest. Just like the rest of the assassins, she's got 4 attacks base, 5 attacks with their close combat weapon, and 6 on the charge with weapon skill 8. She's gonna tear you up. The weapon is awesome. It is a template weapon, strength 1, AP 2, neural shock. It wounds on a 4+. It doesn't do anything to vehicles or buildings, but man, that thing is gonna rip you up, and especially considering it's a template. So I could see that being really useful against high toughness targets, or to be honest, low toughness targets. Pretty much everybody that's gonna hurt, especially since it's AP2. You get your Grey Knight Terminators a little too close. Well, that's gonna be a problem for you. Yeah, exactly. Deep strike some. I don't know why I always think in Imperial terms, but okay. Deep strike some Chaos Terminators. They're dead. She also has a sword. It's the Phase Sword. A lot of the talk on the internet is that this is a Catan weapon, or built from pieces of Catan, or some kind of Catan old Catan technology. And it on a 6, it ignores invulnerable saves, which is pretty freaking cool on a 2 wound roll of 6. So
it's likened to a Catan Phase Sword and thing.
Yeah.
Who else had that? I'm pretty sure there was someone else, probably some elder or something, that was like, "Oh, that's a Catan Phase Sword," or something. It was like, maybe, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, that's irrelevant.
No, it's a great, it's an AP2 weapon. So this is what an assassin uses to do work against armor. She's also got a 3+ poisoned rending weapon, which is really good against monstrous creatures, or those challenges where you're fighting an independent character that's super tough. So I really like this unit. I think it's cool. I would definitely use this in my Imperial army. What do you guys think? You like her?
Yeah. The template thing is really tempting, especially when you have that Amigo mortar tank now.
Mm-hmm.
The pie plates from hell. Yeah, a massive templates. That's kind of cool now.
Yeah, definitely. That's I feel like that's gonna get a blast in 7th edition. And also,
so to speak.
Yeah, but definitely. Wow. Now, I also really like the flavor around them, and I at some point I was sort of inclined to collect one of each assassin, and I have to say that the data slate they now released does not disencourage me from that. I think that's going to be a thing next year.
I was about to say that there's a formation for that.
Exactly. And but I think in most games I would actually theme the use of the assassin of the day around what enemy I'm facing and what kind of narrative we're going on. Like, if I have like Eldar opposed to me, I would most likely pick a Vindicare or a Colexus. If I have, let's say, like a Chaos Space Marine army ahead of me, I would pick the Averser and so on. Just, the right tool for the job.
Yeah. And it does seem like the points value does kind of reflect you having that kind of opponent on the other side of the table. Especially when you look at the Colexus, where that points value is worth it, but only if you're facing a Psyker.
Exactly, yeah.
For my fluff, for my list, I kind of took some liberties with the assassin itself, with the Calidus. It doesn't really say how actually socially adept they are, whether it's the polymorphine that allows them to act like normal people, or if they actually have normal like infiltration training. Or if they're just uncharismatic bores like the rest of the assassins, like a lot of the rest of the assassins. I kind
of envision them a little bit as the companions of the Firefly universe.
Oh, yeah, I would. I almost would. It's almost, in some cases. I wouldn't say all of them, right? So I kind of feel like they should have personality. So I went with that with my assassin. Lady Sandra Kalandar is the descendant of a Marduk family who were saved by the Star Eagles in that horrible chaos incursion. And her great grandmother remembered that day when she was carried off by soldiers clad in purple armor. and they kind of never forgot their home and never forgot their saviors. But all the children in the family were taken away to an orphanage, and because their parents were all slain by either the chaos or the terrifying silver-clad monsters who came after them. Fast forward a few years, and you're looking at the Adeptus Terra taking great interest in the Star Eagles' activities in the Segmentum Obscurus, toppling rulers, tearing down despotic regimes with this brute force. The Lords of Terra don't let's be honest. Maybe they aren't really personally taking too much note, but their assistants are. And if they're looking over their paperwork and they're seeing that they're having some issues with nearby rulers in that region, they're kind of considering, what force could they use to exact change, and the Star Eagles are the obvious choice. But they kind of need to also make sure that in some cases that drive is tempered a bit, and that they should use finesse in some cases where it's called for. So the Officio Assassinorum started to supply assassins to the area in order to head off some of these brash attempts at tearing down regimes. This is where the Kalandar family comes in. They've been serving the Imperium for centuries. In the Officio Assassinorum, they have a long-standing tradition in the family. They're not, again, they don't shy away from actual social interaction in the public light. In fact, in Segmentum Obscurus, they're a well-known family, and they're actually lords and ladies. They hold some political sway in a lot of those systems, but nobody knows their real background, and that is as assassins for the High Lords of Terra. So right as of today being late M41999999, we have Lady Sandra Kalandar, who she spends much of her time just kind of hanging out at in the nest here and there and everywhere, kind of getting her nose into all the business that goes on in the Segmentum. And sometimes she even hangs out with the Imperial Guard commanders who accompany the Space Marines into battle. Hanging out, chilling, knocking back some suds, talking, parties.
Podcast recordings.
I was kind of expecting her to run around holding balls and that kind of thing.
Yeah, like she holds parties. She's a socialite, and her whole family is has a kind of a history of this. Not everyone in the family is an assassin, but in every generation of the family, there is a Calidus assassin.
Yeah. Some of the family are really only good to tell people what day of the month it is.
Yeah, exactly. So this list kind of represents a incursion of the Star Eagles into the palace of a despotic ruler. This is called Storming the Temple. It is a 1,000 point Zone Mortalis list for the Star Eagles. For the primary detachment, I use the Legion of the Damned Codex. We have 4 Kavuli Squads. Kavuli are my Legion of the Damned counts as.
Yeah, what company was that again? Which company number the Kavuli?
First company. These are basically my veterans.
All right.
Kavuli Squad with a Melta-gun, multi-Melta, combi Melta for a total of 155. And then I have another one of those, another Kavuli Squad, Melta-gun, multi-Melta, combi Melta, Fist. So these guys go in and they knock the doors down. Close the blast doors. There are no more blast doors.
Yeah, they basically reenact the scene from episode 1 with the lightsabers and the blast doors.
Yeah. Kavuli, another Kavuli Squad with a flamer, a heavy flamer, and a combi flamer. Send in the troops. Protect me, guard. Protect me, my personal guard.
Beautiful iteration.
And then we have the Warlord Squad. This is the plasma gun, plasma cannon, and plasma pistol. Plasma cannon is a little superfluous in this list, but that's the model I have, so I decided to keep it. The Warlord has the Animus Malorum, which is the cool artifact from the Legion of the Damned Codex that really messes you up if you fail some fear checks. Especially when combined with some of the Warlord traits. You've also got a chainsword on him, and that's an expensive unit. You're talking about 205 points for 5 guys, but that is 5 BAs right there. They are BAs.
Yes, okay, so we're talking about 1,000-point list and 250-ish points. That's expensive, yes.
Yeah.
But, points-wise, I beat you like you wouldn't believe it.
Yeah, I know. Someone's compensating. Anyways.
Oh, yes.
I have an allied detachment of Space Marines using the Ultramarines chapter tactics, as I do with my with my Star Eagles. Maganga Timbo. He's a librarian with the level 2 upgrade, and 7 scouts with melta bombs on the sergeant. So that's just a simple training exercise for these scouts. But they have a rather powerful level 2 librarian with them to try and keep them safe. As well as, of course, we have Lady Sandra Kalandar as the assassin detachment. And basically she infiltrates ahead of the Space Marines in an attempt to take out the target before they kind of go in a whomping and killing the guy. For the Calidus, they talk about how the Calidus doesn't always kill their target, right? They sometimes incapacitate them and send them off and then after that kind of take their place. So I could even, when you're running things narratively with this assassin, you could almost say that if the assassin kills the warlord, then he's not like dead, but he's been incapacitated and captured. But that's it. That's me. What do you guys think? I think that's pretty fluffy for both the chapter, what they do, and also the use of the assassin in kind of a fluffy way.
Yeah, I totally love that you went out there and even gave the assassin herself like a personal history and a family history and everything. That's so you, and it's very cool.
Do you think that the having like 1,000-year history of this family working as assassins, do you think that's overreaching, or if it is overreaching, is it not? Does it serve well?
I think it serves well that you have given them a specific point in your history where they started out, as in the Chaos Incursion, where the Grey Knights came and kind of went overboard.
Mm.
And
you don't like the Grey Knights, do you?
I don't think Adam does. No.
So something in every one of his stories that always needs to give the Grey Knights a finger.
Yeah,
and it's not the pointy finger.
But since you gave them a specific starting point in the history, then, how many thousand years after that do you feel like filling in? Well, you know how long your history is, so they're just going to fill in the rest.
Mm-hmm.
And just making sure that at some point in this story, some of them are trained or being singled out as potential candidates for assassins. Fine.
Yeah.
You can do whatever you want.
I think
It's
it
your
fits
story.
the Kalados Temple better than the other temples, what you did here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I wouldn't have done such with another temple, especially the weirder ones like the Calexis and stuff. I would definitely not have. I would not have used this kind of storyline for any of the other houses. To be honest,
Our family has been providing the Averser Temple for centuries now, and we have some very, very uncomfortable family meetings.
Speaking of that,
I'm thinking just. I have one little thing that just popped into my head here. What would happen to a Calixus assassin near the big red giant stone of warp nulling things? Would the Calixus kind of become unpariah, just like the nullify the pariah bit?
the nulling the null. That's a good question. I don't know. We should get one and bring them near there and see what happens.
And
okay, stay tuned for another show.
Yeah, I guess something utterly unspectacular would be happen, like, thousands of spacemen watching, and here the guys taste like strawberry.
I would almost think that the Calexis would show up on the area and be like, "Oh, this place is great. I can't sense any jerk offs or anywhere near me. This is awesome. I'm gonna hang out here for a little while." It's like taking a warm bath.
Oh, yeah.
It's almost like the fluff piece I'm currently in was written by someone who is not hellbent on the grimdark and wanted to give this bit of background scenery a positive spin. I like it here.
Yeah, so as Adam was trying to do, it's my turn.
All elegance is gone by now. Just go ahead.
Exactly.
Well, that's fine.
Well,
I'm not all that elegant, to be honest.
And also, speaking of elegance, thank you, Camille, because my assassin is everything but elegant. I've taken the Averser Assassin. I guess the best way to summarize the Averser Assassin is that if the Imperium wants to make an example of something, and really make an example of something that people would talk about for centuries afterwards, they don't send a Vindicare assassin to just explode your head one evening quietly in front of 1,000 people. They send an Averser in who will kill you, kill everyone around you, display your intestines all over the place, bend you into interesting shapes just to make you look like an art piece. A really gross one.
Really?
These guys will make things as messy as possible, and they will do it as thoroughly as possible just to make sure that, no one ever tries to follow your example, because then they will become the example of that other thing that you were turned into. So, Aversers are the most psychotic, cruel, and, unpredictable guys in a way, because they're so bad that they are actually kept on ice when they're not being used. They are cryogenically frozen between missions simply because they're so full of combat drugs and all kinds of bad stuff that, you can't keep them alive for long. So it must have been quite a strange way of living, considering that you wake up, you are being sort of it's like subliminally programmed while you're being unfrozen to do a certain job. You do the job and you go to sleep and you wake up 2 seconds later, even though maybe it could be 500 years in the real world. They must be, apart from being messed up in the head already and on combat drugs, that whole experience must be really strange for them. What do you guys think?
Yeah, those guys, they're destined to be messed up in their brains.
Yeah, definitely. They're definitely the psychotic killers among the assassins. I don't know if you guys read Nemesis at all, But
It's on my list.
Yeah, but the Averser is pretty much handled like some kind of or like weapon of mass destruction system. He becomes more of a character later on, but for a part of the novel, it's like modus operandi for the Averser: just keep him locked away until you need him, and then just drop him onto the target in a safe. He's gonna dig out of there, and you don't want to be on the scene anymore when he's doing his work.
No.
Yeah.
But as psychotic and crazy and, merciless as the Averser Assassin is, he still manages to sneak into the location of his target pretty much unseen. He doesn't go just from his drop pod and just killing everything until he gets to his target, killing that and just killing his way back. That would be an assassin-like. So yeah, they are actually surprisingly stealthy until the point where they need to do their job, and then they become as unstealthy and as messy as possible, and then they just vanish again.
Nice. Yeah, that is awesome. I like the idea. I mean, it really plays to the background that they have this kind of, making people regret what they do before they even do it, thus keeping people in line. This assassin really plays into that piece of fluff that we discussed earlier, where the Officio Assassinorum is kind of a deterrent as much as it is a judgment body.
Yeah, and a deterrent mostly as people see the results, not actually seeing or knowing what happened, or like who performed whatever happened. So, if you see basically an entire hab block maybe just filled with dead bodies that have been just ripped to pieces and, done all kinds of vile things with, you probably don't want to repeat what those guys did.
No.
The Averser Assassin has two weapons. One is a needle pistol, and the other is a neuro gauntlet. And the needle pistol is basically just a pistol that shoots toxins. And, all kinds of nasty toxins for whatever job they need to do. And the neuro gauntlet is something of a power weapon with more toxins. So, and of course some really sharp claws and everything so that they can flay things.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of these assassins, they have several tools to get the job done based on the enemy. It's not like they have a lot of. It's not like each assassin type has one option or has multiple options you can buy. Instead, they just come supplied with what you need for a couple different kinds of targets.
Yeah, but as you can see also on this guy's equipment, it's all geared towards really close combat stuff. He's not like a Vindicare assassin has his rifle.
Mm-hmm.
That's the specialty of the Vindicare, so only the Vindicares have the rifle. But, this guy, he doesn't really get the job done on long range.
Yeah, that would certainly not serve to alleviate some of his needs, would it?
No, and speaking of needs, you could always question what makes what here, because is the guy getting off on killing, or is it just the combat drugs on the mission that's being followed to the letter? I'm kind of leaning towards it's quite possible they get quite a bit of enjoyment out of the whole killing thing too.
I think so too.
You'd almost have to. They're probably selected. I mean, obviously these assassins are cherry picked from a large group of people, and you're not going to. It's kind of, I don't want to insult anyone, but like you do notice that a lot of firebugs tend to be firemen. So it's kind of a weird thing like that.
So enough about the temple itself. I'm going to go into my list, which I actually needs to be started off with a bit of a story.
As per usual with the Masters of the Forge.
Planet Maxilon, Hive World. Once ruled by an elected council of officials called the Geldom, this tradition was supplanted over the years to reward personal favors and bribes with power. over time even this practice was lost upon its members, and eventually ruling became a family right. In order to realize their personal ambitions of ever greater personal wealth and importance, the Geldon stopped sending their tithe ships full of goods and soldiers, freeing up personnel to work the mines and ore that could be sold instead of being shipped off. While the general population was living quite comfortably, the members of the Geldon surrounded themselves in luxury unimaginable. No expense was spared when it came to their lives. After all, their power had been awarded to them by a higher authority. Several generations passed, and the shipping discrepancy was uncovered when the Forge World stopped producing arms due to shortage of materials. The Inquisition sent an acolyte to investigate, and the reports that came back were rife with heresy and corruption, but the acolyte was unable to gain access to the Geldon themselves. They lived completely separated from the general population, and the acolyte's attempts to order a meeting had been rebuffed. Their time was too precious to waste on a mere acolyte. If the Inquisition really wanted to speak to them, they would have sent a Lord Inquisitor. While the Inquisition could have obliged the Geldon's demands, it would have been a waste of time and resources. It was too late for niceties. This kind of heresy had to be rooted out, and an example had to be made. The 5 original seats of the Geldon were no longer occupied by a single individual, but by several generations of family tree. A Vindicare assassin would never be able to finish the job before most of the members disappeared. They needed someone from the Averser Temple. In order to ensure complete eradication, a plan was devised to lure the entire Geldon into one location. An inquisitorial order was sent to the Firehawks chapter to make planetfall and wage holy war on the heretical population. The Firehawks were troubled by this order. Not that the prospect of cleansing the heretics in righteous flame was a problem. Ever since their creation during the so-called Cursed Founding, the Inquisition had marked them as a chapter highly likely to be tainted, and as such had tried to ensure their destruction on numerous occasions. However, the order could not be ignored, and the Firehawks saw it as an opportunity to gain some small measure of good faith with the Inquisition. Back on Terra, the Inquisition was taking advantage of the situation, and programmed the Assassin's secondary mission parameters to include taking out as many of the Space Marines as possible if the opportunity presented itself. Sensor operators were the first to detect the invasion force, and there was no doubt about what was going on. Their picked screens filled with contacts as most of the Firehawks' assets warped into the system at the same time. Terminators warped down to the surface while their ships dealt with the local naval assets and orbital defenses. Drop pods and Thunderhawks shuttled troops and materials to the surface while the Maxlon Planetary Defense Force desperately tried to scramble forces to. As predicted by the Inquisition, the Geldon rushed to their command bunker as soon as the first reports of fighting came in. The bait had been taken, the trap was about to close. For 3 days, the Planetary Defense Force did their best to fend off the Space Marines, and they knew it was a lost cause, but they had to protect their leaders with their lives. Then, as suddenly as they had arrived, the Firehawks retreated to their ships and vanished. As people started coming out from their shelters, life slowly started returning to normal, but there was something not right. The daily Enlightenment programming had not been voxed for a few days. At first people thought it was battle damage, but when the system was checked, everything was working perfectly. The Lord Generals of the Planetary Defense Force tried to reach the Geldon to find out why, but the Geldon were not in their palaces. After a massive search that lasted almost a week, the Geldon bunker complex was finally found. The extreme luxury the soldiers saw was only offset by the foul smell of death that permeated the complex. When the source of the smell was finally located, the sight alone gave the commander a near-fatal heart attack. It was a large banquet hall with long dining tables. Around them sat 177 roughly skinned corpses, from the young to the infirm. Blood spray covering floor to ceiling, their skins hung over the backs of their chairs like coats, entrails hanging neatly from the gem-studded chandeliers, flayed facial skin on their dinner plates, their major organs on gold serving trays on the tables. At the small table of 5, one body stood out, flanked by 2 flayed corpses on either side, sat the head of the Geldon. She looked almost untouched, but her arms and legs had been chopped off and placed next to her plates in place of knives and forks. The scene, too gruesome to picture record, was chronicled as a warning for later generations, while the Adeptus Administratum sent one of their loyal servants to steer the planet towards its new destiny.
Wow. Dude, you're kind of messed up.
Sometimes I just find that inspiration.
Yeah, no, that's cool. I mean, when your ancestors were, conquerors and pillagers, that's fine. You tend to have to harness that sometimes.
Yeah, I'm sharing the same ancestry as Camille because way back I'm probably related to King, what was it? The German King Karl or something? So like
Charlemagne, yeah.
Yeah, Charlemagne. He was kind of a brutal guy and conqueror and everything, so,
My ancestors sat on an island and ate coconuts. So, like, I'm a little freaked out. Okay, so sue me. I do have some German blood, but to be perfectly honest, my personality generally bends towards the sitting on an island eating coconuts.
Heretical coconuts?
Well, mostly because I'm allergic to coconuts. So I guess that's the German coming through. Anyways, I derailed this a lot. Keep going, or Snorri.
Well, that was the story.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, we're so used to interrupt you that we're irritated when you actually get your point across. But it's a good story, yeah.
Yeah, it's okay. We'll give you this one.
No, it works very well.
That's awesome. It was an awesome story.
I stealth finished the story.
You assassinated our usual diatribe, so that's good. Nicely done, Snorri. I think it's really cool. I think it really exudes the nature of the assassin quite well, sir. I think you've really captured its essence, so to speak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I honestly don't know why the Averser Assassin kind of speaks to me, but I guess it's the reason why Nurgle speaks to me. I just like the ugly and nasty stuff.
It's quite an alien concept, actually. Yeah, it's like psychologically a lot of apart from what we would want to be doing if we were like in the 41st millennium, and that it definitely has like a major draw to it. I think that's something that draws me into chaos a lot too. Just portraying and giving shape to something that should not be in our nature, but kind of is.
Yeah, no, it's cool. So Snorri, you did write a list.
Yes, I did.
It is quite an undertaking, sir.
Well, points-wise, moving this thing around the table might be quite an undertaking, but I don't think the list writing was too bad.
No.
I made an unbound 2,500 points Firehawks list.
You have the longest list, we get it.
Actually, I shortened it because, it was kind of long.
Whoa.
Well, now that I'm saying Firehawks list here, and people might groan, do I have to buy that war book so I can read about the Firehawks? No, you don't. Because on the Forge World webpage, under downloads, you can find the Bedav War character update for the rules
tip.
for... Yeah, good tip. Yeah. Knights Captain Elam Corbray, which is my HQ of choice. He's described in this document. It's updated 6th edition rules instead of the, late 4th edition or early 5th edition. Oh, that was 5th edition rules for the Bedav War. And the Firehawks chapter tactics, which is what he uses, is described in the Forge World chapter tactics document. So, with that done, let's just go through the list quickly. My HQ is, of course, Knight Captain Elam Corbray for 185 points. I have, with him, 10-man squad of Vanguard veterans with jump packs. 3 guys have power mauls, storm shields, and melta bombs, and the sergeant is a Thunderhammer Stormshield Vanguard veteran.
Nice.
Now comes the whole comment about, oh, you think 250 points in the squad is too many points? I have 2 Terminator squads with 5 Terminators, 1 Heavy Flamer, and the Land Raider Redeemer as their personal pimp mobile. So 420 points for each of those?
Yes.
And my tactical choice is 4 tactical squads of 5 people with flamers and drop pods with locator beacons, every single one of them. So if you miss with one drop pod, you can always drop another one and use the locator beacon, or maybe you can just string up a chain of drop pods to make a bit of a wall using the locator beacon of the first one. And my fast attack is 4 squads of 6 assault marines with 2 flamers, and the allied contingent of the Averser Assassin for 135 points, because I have to have an assassin, because that's the whole point of the show. But I did give the assassin a couple of extra rules, because this is the Inquisition.
Well, we weren't expecting that.
Exactly. Because the Firehawks are part of the Cursed Founding, the Inquisition don't like them, so this assassin has the Hatred Cursed Founding special rule, and his allied level is Desperate Allies to the Firehawks. And this is because of the following rule. If the assassin starts his turn 18 inches or closer to any Firehawks model or vehicle, roll a d6. On a 3+, the assassin activates his secondary objective, which is to exterminate all enemies of the Imperium, meaning the Firehawks. So that means that you want to keep this assassin far away from your other guys, or else the opponent might get control of him.
That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, I think that's pretty fitting with how how the Firehawks and the Inquisition like each other. So, it's not like a list I would show up with on a regular basis, but it would be a fun storytelling list for one or 2 games.
Yo, I'm starting to like these Firehawks guys.
Definitely.
I love them. Obviously. But I haven't played them yet, so I don't know I don't remember which one of you said that, I play Firehawks. I haven't yet played them, but, they're one of my side projects.
You're painting them. This is more playing with them than many other collectors do in their lifetime.
Yeah, I guess so. So yeah, that was my take on the Versers.
Cool, man. Very cool.
Yeah, definitely. Cool. Very brutal.
Yeah, oh god, these guys are nasty. They are mean dudes.
You mean Firehawks?
Sure.
Anti-Verilers.
Yeah, I think they're, well, in different ways, they are a bit of the same thing, because the Firehawks are known for being extremely zealous, and, they really like to kill it with fire, simply because, I don't care if you're a heretic or if you're just an innocent bystander. The Emperor, he will choose which one of you is worthy of being remembered, so we'll just kill you anyway. They're kind of crazy like that.
Indeed.
Creepy. All right, wow. So, I guess that's it for our coverage of the assassins. What do you guys think? I think so. I would like to point out that we predicted this codex. I think it was back in episode 3 where we were saying, you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if we saw an assassin's codex, because it just makes way too much sense not to do, right?
Yeah, and also with the Inquisition getting theirs and the Sisters of Battle getting theirs, Assassins is like one of the few forces in the Imperium that hasn't received a single code or like a special codex.
I can tell you this much from somebody who's still kind of discovering a lot about the fluff and a lot about the backstory of 40K. When I first started the game, I had no idea that the Assassins, the Grey Knights, the Sisters, and all that they were kind of separate entities. I thought since they were in the same book, they must kind of be the same thing, right? Definitely not. They couldn't be farther from the truth.
Yeah, and we see that.
definitely.
Yeah, we see that with the new Grey Knights Codex, that they finally actually cleaned up the Codex, so it's just the Grey Knights instead of being Grey Knights plus pals.
You have to take note that and then like pretty much an allied data slate, or rather a codex to be like not intended for a standalone use, is how any kind of rule set for the assassins started back in the second edition. Because you had Codex Assassins, and it was just like those 4 guys. And I think you were even prohibited to take multiples. You just could take like 1 for your Imperial aligned army. So it really only makes sense what they did now, and I'm really glad they did. And as far as I have skimmed the rules by now, I'm also pretty happy about how they're portrayed in the book.
I can understand if we have some kind of blowback from doing this kind of thing, because I think a lot of these forces are meant to work as a kind of an ally or as only a piece of an army, like the Grey Knights and like the Assassins. Like, they're kind of not meant to work alone. But at the same time, they kind of should be presented in a way that allows you to take them alongside any Imperial force. So, and I think even though the Grey Knights are their own codex, for example, I can see a lot of people just allying them in, both for fluff reasons and for competitive reasons. I can really see Imperial Guard players or Amigo players really just dipping into that Grey Knight Codex, or dipping into the Assassins and just grabbing a little bit here and a little bit there. And it's not only is it fluffy, right? It's super fluffy, but it works on a competitive level. And I think that's kind of the sweet spot where we want this game to be. Don't you guys think? Like, we want it to work on the table, and we want it to work at the end of our pen, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, right, definitely. Also, we definitely need to run like a big scale advertising campaign with, actual print posters displaying Fritz the cat in his usual leisure pose with our logo underneath and the slogan like, "We're super fluffy." I would love that. Yeah. But yeah, you're right on point, and I'm stupid.
No, it's cool. Any talk about Fritz the BA cat is good in my book.
We haven't heard the sneezing for a whole while now. What happened?
He's here chilling. I think his allergy. I think he has allergies, and they come and go with the seasons.
He's got an allergy against like 40K.
No, he has I think he has an allergy to like human dander or like dust or something, because he usually he doesn't sneeze very much in the summer. He starts sneezing a lot when the fall comes. Okay, the gotcha. Assassins. I think we've talked the Assassins about down to their dregs. Do you guys have anything to add?
We've talked the Assassins to death.
Yeah, all right. I was trying to avoid a pun, but fine. We've talked the Assassins to death.
Yeah, you were trying to be like all upfront about it, but it's not. It just had to be a assassin.
Oh, for God's sake! Get SARS. Just get SARS. Kiss a chicken. All right, guys.
A SARS.
We'll be right back.
A Sarsen.
Are you looking for a good hobby blog? Are you in need of a tutorial? Maybe you just want some inspiration to help you get started. Well, look no further than the 40K Hobbyist. Drew is a 40K hobby veteran with more than a decade of GW hobby experience under his belt. Follow one man's journey through the hobby as he dabbles in new experiences such as Forge World Titans, building terrain tables, starting new Space Marine chapters, and much, much more. Stop in for modeling tips, tutorials, bits theory discussions, and just to see some darn cool models. If you have any questions, you can always email him, leave a comment on his blog, or reach him through Facebook. He's always willing to do whatever he can to help expand the hobby and make you feel the best painter that you can be. Stop in and check out the 40K Hobbyist at 40khobbyist.blogspot.com. That's 40khobbyist.blogspot.com. iest.blogspot.com, or find him on Facebook.
Well, that was episode 14 of the Masters of the Forge. I hope you enjoyed it. Snorri, do you hope they enjoyed it?
No, not at all. I know people don't enjoy it.
Are you, Camille, are you banking on Schadenfreude, or are you like, yeah, I hope the listeners enjoyed that episode?
Wait. I'm sort of off the script. I've lost a few pages here. Is this the part of the show where we pretend that we just recorded what people just heard
yes.
directly
yeah,
in the
this is
media?
where we,
all right.
This is where we don't break the fourth wall. Go ahead.
Yeah, didn't we have fun talking about, what was it again? Yeah, assassins, right?
And what are we going to have fun talking about next time?
Traitor Guard.
Traitor Guard. That's kind of
definitely
a big topic, but I think it's gonna be a lot like this episode, where we're gonna try to make some lists and fit it into our fluff.
And it's actually going to be quite a lot like the Many Faces of Astra Militarum episode we did in the past.
Yeah,
so
one might consider this a Many Faces of the Astra Militarum episode.
Yeah, it might be a sequel, and if it's a sequel, it's most likely the terrible second part of a trilogy. So stay tuned and
but
look
at least,
forward to that.
Hey, Camille, at least it's not a movie, so there won't be a lot of lens flares or explosions. Well, there could be a lot of explosions. Listeners, write in and tell us if you want lens flares and explosions in the next episode.
You know, we can hardly deliver on lens flares, but we totally could do like a black PDF interrupted by like some occasional lens flares. Nothing excessive though, because this is not a reboot.
No, and we don't want to send our listeners into epileptic seizures.
No, that neither. But you know, on the other hand, The Empire Strikes Back was the second part of a trilogy too, and that's one of the best movies of all time. So
feedback, people. Send us feedback
from a few seconds ago.
Send us feedback, and where can they leave feedback?
I don't know. Maybe Facebook.
Facebook is a great spot to leave feedback and tell us what you want to see in future episodes, and tell us how we did on past episodes. Camille, what other place can people go to tell us about?
There's like mastersoftheforge.com, just one word. That will be our blog. But don't leave any comments there, because nobody ever leaves comments there, and we're not even looking out anymore. Yeah, really?
I've had discourse with people on our site.
I thought that would be like full of racist spam in the meantime.
No. I get emails every now and then asking me to moderate comments, and so far I think I've just had one spam comment.
Wow, all right.
People are nice.
I guess we're really unpopular if we're not drawing in those spam bots. But hey, whatever. We do most of our communication with our listeners via Facebook, actually. That's facebook.com/mastersoftheforge. And you can also talk about us on Twitter, but we don't have a Twitter, so we won't notice. But please be nice either way.
Yeah, and iTunes reviews. We would love some iTunes reviews. I think it's almost time for some kind of contest, but a lot of other podcasts are running contests right now, so we're going to wait on that one.
Yeah, we're not going to.
Also, we don't have very many likes on Facebook yet. So, we should at least break 750 or something. We can actually break 666, I think.
Ooh, that's nice. That's a good idea. Maybe
it would fit just fine with our Traitor Guard episode. You know, a properly supposedly evil number and everything.
By evil, you mean freedom?
Free?
Yeah. Freedom.
Yeah, okay.
Freedom.
Sorry, there you just glitched a little bit. So all I heard was like from. But hey, according to the rumor mill, which we hardly ever talk about because we don't really bother with the rumors, there might actually be Traitor Guard in that book that Forge World was teasing on the site. It's been reported on Bell of Lost Souls and probably also on Fight that this new Chaos book might contain both war machines and updated lists for stuff that has to do with Chaos. I can't wait.
Siege of Rocks is about to become obsolete, or what's the battle plan there?
I'm
These
pretty
are
sure
rumors.
that Siege of...
We cannot know.
It's rumors, of course, but I'm pretty sure that the Vrax books aren't going to be made obsolete, but it could be that the guard lists in them, or at least some of them, because there's at least 2, I think, That some of them may get an update. I don't know. But,
So our Traitor Guard stuff might be actually might actually become topical like randomly.
Yeah,
for all we know.
Yeah, hopefully. Well, I guess until then,
play the game the way you want to.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
It's such a good feeling to play games your way. It's such a happy feeling 40K'ing away. And when you throw dice with story in mind, it's such a wonderful way to unwind. It's a good feeling, a very good feeling, the feeling you know that we'll be back when the fortnight's new, and we'll have new ideas for you, and you'll have things you'll want to talk about. We will too.
This podcast is protected by the Creative Commons Attribution, No Derivatives, Non-Commercial International License. More information about this license and contact information if you have any requests can be found at our blog, mastersoftheforge.com. Here to run around holding, balls and that kind of thing.
What?
I don't know what the
Edit point, you sick This is a child
masquerade balls.
This is a family show. What were you thinking?
You know what? I'm like, where is he going with this balls thing?
And I was like, he's going nowhere.
Yeah, like she holds parties, she was social.
That was real tasteless. We're gonna edit it out. Snorri,
yes.
Edit point. Sorry, Snorri.
Sorry, Snorri.
Sorry, Attack Wing.
Every generation of the family, there is a assassin.
Yeah.
Some
of the family are really only good to tell people what day of the month it is.
Yeah. Exactly.
The calendar clan.
I hate you so much.
Today is Carrot Cake Day.
Hold on. So this list kind of represents a
much more small scale than what even Deathwatch would do.
Is this a leadership like a Battlefield Gothic vehicle? Okay, that was really bad. Let's just carry on. Okay. So, sorry, Adam. Go ahead.
Nothing. I was just like, what? I don't get it.
Leadership, like spaceship.
Oh, wow. Damn. Dying of Fire.
Yeah, I probably will.
It's early morning for Adam.
Yeah, that's great. Okay. Go on.
All right. So, just a real quick overview. You've got pretty much like